Oh, absolute mayhem. I had to throw you on because I couldn't get a camera to Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. The mayhem continues. We are digging our way out of our storm conundrum. I got headphones flying all over the place. I got the Guru's Guru off doing God knows what.
Do we have the wind machine coming in?
No, there's no wind machine this time. I swear. We're not spiking the results. We're not embellishing. We're not doing any of that shit. We are bringing you the straight dope. Hopefully, I'm not reverberating every time I do that. But yeah, it's a little extra crazy mayhem with the threat of Hurricane Dorian, which has now reached super hurricane status.
I saw Ian Ziering show Jim Cantori, so maybe they're making a Sharknado 12 after
Sharknado 14.
with this tournament, with this hurricane.
Hey, scoot over to your left a little more there. There's the Maz in all of his splendor and glory. The Guru's Guru, ever the consummate professional. He's out doing God knows what. He has taken off, and I am here to ridicule him for being unprofessional. I mean,
I hear shutters.
Hey!
I hear shutters. He putting up shutters out there?
I still.
What is he doing out there?
Oh my God! It's all part of the hurricane freakout. It really is.
Yeah.
It's all part of the hurricane freakout. By the way, everybody who is watching, who is still freaking out about the hurricane, stop.
All the gas everybody got Tuesday, they probably need gas by now.
Again, exactly.
They had to fill up again today.
They're busy driving down to the beach and going, "Where's the hurricane? Where's the hurricane?"
It's funny.
No. The funny part was Thursday and Friday. We happen to have, and sorry if we're going to get a little weather nerdy for you, we happen to have supercells that were coming from the southeast. So you had these big, huge, looming black cloud storms that are coming from the southeast. And of course, there's got to be at least a few hundred momos that are going, is that the hurricane?
Yeah.
Is that the hurricane? Put up more boards, Ethel! They're freaking out.
I had one person in the supermarket tell me that they didn't think the hurricane was going to come because they just felt like it just was going to slow down. And this was on, I think, Wednesday. So I was like, well, why? What do you
they might be right.
Well, what I'm saying, but slow down in terms of slow down and just not come this way. Like slow down and dissipate type of thing. And, without getting into too much argument, discussion, I just agreed and walked away and said, I hope you're right. And bought my milk and went home. So, yeah.
Nodded at him and said,
it's just,
good for you.
Certain arguments are just not worth having. But, anyway. Ultimately, she's right. Or it may not come this way. But I just think her methodology wasn't proven. I think it was kind of hunch-related type stuff.
It was definitely hunch-related.
Yeah.
I'm pretty amazed here that the Guru's phone, for some strange reason, cannot pick up our chat room. I may try to get him to get a phone that isn't natural gas operated, or there's like a ripcord on the side of this thing.
That's funny.
Because I can't give up my phone for information. I have to have my own information. So yeah, we're going to gradually start moving into sports. I'm actually stalling to finally get him out here, but
he'll join us when
I
he's
have
ready.
His phone. So he can't call any of the other. By the way, everybody else that he does the Guru's Guru thing for. Okay, hopefully you people from the site are watching right now, and I'm thinking that he's in the office and he's on the computer going Guru's Guru. And the problem with the Guru's Guru is that he can't write a paragraph. He has to write 9 paragraphs with details and a joke and a movie reference and a personal life reference and love the detail. And the Guru's Guru on Facebook is a fun read, but you're not supposed to do it now.
Validation, that's what it's about.
Holy crap, where did he go? Well, the show's going to go on without him because, I don't know, maybe he slipped and fell or he's taking a dump. I don't know. But we'll get right into it. First of all, the Miami Dolphins trade. Because it's my damn show and I can talk about whatever the fuck I want. So I'm going to greedily jump in and go, Miami Dolphins trade. Loved it. It was awesome. That was Laramie Tunsil, Kenny Stills, a whole bunch of money off the salary cap, a potential $16 million a year left tackle is going to want money next year. You're getting rid of 2 headaches. Yes, Tunsil is a good player, but guess what? He can be replaced. A 4th round draft choice, and they get 2 scrubs, and they get 2 first-round draft choices.
One of the scrubs is pretty good.
Right.
He's an edge rusher,
Right.
and he's supposed
Which
to be
we
really,
need.
really good.
Which we need.
Which you're replacing, essentially.
We need
So-
a lot more than left tackles.
But he's an edge rusher that you can groom and build, and when the team's ready to be good, hopefully you got a guy there that's ready to fill a shoe.
Well, yeah, and it's going to be. Oh, sorry, I didn't get the camera over to you fast enough.
That's okay.
It's gonna be an interesting situation that the Miami Dolphins have 2 first-round draft choices for the next 2 seasons, 2 first-round draft choices, 2 second-round and 2 third-rounders for the next 2 years.
Build it.
So build it from the ground up.
Build it, and they will come.
They will. Well, build it, and yeah, I'll start coming back.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, yeah, I approve the trade. I know that there's a lot of hand wringing out there going, "Oh, you can't get rid of the left tackle. That's a building piece." Blah, 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 blah. Easy on the BP, okay? If you look around, yes, good left tackles are a premium. Problem is there's 5. And Laramie Tunsil is not in that group of 5. There's 5 elite left tackles. There's 5 left tackles that you can just go, well, that's the guy. Okay, that's a left tackle. He neutralizes whatever edge rusher is on that end of the field. That's the guy, and that's the $16 million, $17 million a year left tackle. Great.
Not ready for that yet.
He's not there yet.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, when you get into 2020 and your salary cap is cleared a little bit, are you going to want to dump $16 million a year on your left tackle who is good? Not great, but he's going to want great money, but he's only good.
Yeah, the Dolphins finally, I think, know who they are right now,
We'll talk
hopefully.
into the microphone.
And understand that they have to find out who. Well, again, it's not who they are right now. I think they're learning who they are right now and taking steps in the right direction to build it through the draft. I mean, 2 years from now, when they're in a position maybe to be a little bit better, and they've got all these draft picks, you can start to kind of take shots at guys in the 3rd and 4th round. Get yourself a running back. Build your defensive and offensive lines. So the coach looks good. Direction looks good. Lose a few years. Be patient. Hopefully, this is the bottom of the bottom, and you guys are going to start to climb out.
Well, yeah. Well, and listen, I'm also one of those glass half full guys that even though it's a very difficult schedule, there's still a ton of skilled talent. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Stills was expendable. In spite of the fact that he would cost $7 million this year, in spite of the fact that he's a social justice warrior, there's a little bit of a pain in the butt, and that he shit all over the owner for holding a fundraiser for the president. And by the way, this is me supporting Stephen Ross and his fundraising for the president, because Stephen Ross has put a lot of money into social issues. A lot of money when a lot of people in his position would not put money into it.
What you can define from all this stuff is that it's a distraction, to say the least. No matter what side of the fence you sit on politically, I mean, a team that's building, a team that's trying to get some semblance and some good culture and stuff like that. Again, it doesn't matter who you vote for, what side of the political spectrum you fit on. We can all say that it's a distraction, and the team that is in a direction trying to change itself does not need distractions, clearly.
Yeah, I remember reading the byline that the team will revolt if Laramie Tunsil is traded. I'm wondering if the team will revolt statement came from Kenny Stills. Maybe, possibly, because he's been one of those guys that talks off the record with reporters, so guys like Omar Kelly are going to be crestfallen. Omar Kelly, reporter for the Sun Sentinel and for WQAM, he's going to be crestfallen that his buddy that Kenny Stills has gone. Stephen Stills. Kenny Stills.
Stephen Stills will never go.
Love the one you with. Yeah, I don't think he can play acoustic guitar either.
No, he'll never go.
But yeah, so our acoustic guitar player / lead singer is gone. So good luck in Houston. I think that they are part of the Houston build towards a championship run. I really do. Which leads us to segue into the latest news on the cuts,
injuries,
yeah,
all that
trades.
Stuff. Sure.
There are a lot of moving parts this week. It was the end of week 4.
Injuries. I think for the most part, most teams came out of camp pretty clean. I think some of the injuries that we're going to talk about, a few, are injuries like players came into camp with some of these injuries. It wasn't like all of a sudden, Cam's probably the biggest injury in the offseason, I think, or
Yeah,
at
it's
least
just a
potential.
boo-boo.
But what I'm saying is that was the scariest one. See him limp off the field. It's a knee. Whenever you see a quarterback in a knee, you're always
thought it
like,
was
oh
an
my
ankle.
God. Ankle, lower leg injury, whatever they call it. But if it's your quarterback, that's a little scary. So, but overall, injuries coming out of camp. A.J. Green, he hasn't played, obviously, all camp.
We expected him to be out a couple of weeks for regular season.
But we weren't sure. And there was talk about maybe putting him on the IR. The team is not going to put him on the IR. So
Why?
it's a couple of weeks. He'd probably be back. So not somebody I'm targeting necessarily, but still somebody that, eventually is going to find his way on somebody's team.
Well, that's great news for Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt, we all know his situation. He's been going in too many drafts. He's been going both drafts I've done so far, all the mocks that I've done so far, he's being taken somewhere. He's a guy that we know is not coming back to week 10. Even if he comes back week 10 and they insert him into the offense, how much of a factor do you think he's going to be? It's going to take him at least a week or two to get his feet under him, and then he's got to carve himself a role. So by the time he's even productive for your team's either in the playoffs or not at that point. So to draft somebody for a playoff run, I don't know. I mean, it's presumptuous to say the least, but probably not a good idea. So that's just an update on him. Zeke, this is the big one, according to Adam Schefter.
Oh, now we're moving into the contracts.
Well, these are injuries and contracts, guys that didn't
Right.
play that we need to know about. Zeke's, according to Adam Schefter, is going to sign today. So stay close
which
to the
is the
ticker.
gold standard, according to Adam Schefter.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it
that guy
happens.
is, for him to come out and make a statement like that. The quote was for the weekend, and this came out as a Friday, so the weekend started yesterday. Didn't get any news. I'm assuming the weekend counts today as well. So by day's end today, I'm guessing we're going to see it on the ticker that Mr. Elliott will be a Dallas Cowboy.
Well,
Again.
I'd like to think that. First of all, I like Jerry Jones. I'm not a fan of Jerry Jones, but I like him. I think he's one of those. He's one of those out front, out there owners who enjoyed a whole lot of success really early in his tenure. I mean, he ate shit the first 2 years he was there when he bought the team. He ate shit, but a whole lot of yes. You're late. You're going to be docked. What is wrong with you?
Packers and Bears from last meeting.
Oh, okay, and
Chicago.
what's that got to do with 11-13? You're fired.
Okay.
Don't walk away. Come back
I
here.
gotta get my phone.
Oh, no, you don't. I've got your phone here. The Guru's Guru has arrived.
Check 1 2. I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. Yeah. Here, take your archaic phone that doesn't get the chat room.
Doesn't get to.
What is that anyway? What did you get that? Metro POS?
Yeah, that's a Metro piece of shit.
Jeez Louise. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give my phone up so that the Guru's Guru can monitor the chat room like a proper chat room monitor. I mean, seriously, we're a professional outfit here. What's wrong with you?
All right, more Zeke talk. Basically,
Well,
you guys
yeah,
fight through that.
You talk about
Yeah.
Zeke, and I'm gonna.
He's getting signed. We all know what that does. In all of our drafts, it's been pretty much the top three guys being flipped back and forth between Barkley and Kamara and McCaffrey. You have to assume now, I have another draft this afternoon. Some of us still have drafts this afternoon. Elliott, where does he fit in? Is he now in the fourth running back that's taken off the board?
Well, I see a huge sigh of relief from all the owners that took him in the fourth or fifth slot. They're all going, yay! Yeah, but Jerry learned. Jerry learned from his Emmett experience. Jerry learned that you can play chicken, but you're playing chicken with wins and losses. And early in the year, you got to stack them up because they don't come easy the last month. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you would like to chime in?
Yes, I would.
Hi,
Draft,
welcome to the show.
draft information on Ezekiel Elliott. The
Right.
last 4 days in a 12-team draft,
Right.
he has been taken 7th or 8th. He has fallen in draft boards the last 4 days.
Right.
There's worry there about injury and that kind of thing. They know he's going to sign, but of course, with no camp, there's always that chance. Hopefully, some of you out there drafted Pollard for this situation.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, let me advise you, go get your hat. Second of all, go get your hat. I don't know what he was doing prior to this, and I apologize for his hat hair, but he was obviously doing something prior to this, and he has the worst hat hair in the history. We don't worry about hat hair, do we?
I've never had hat hair.
Hat hair? What hat hair? What the hell is that?
Matter of fact, all my hats are
Ooh,
hanging.
hair.
Haven't been used in such a long time.
I'm telling you. So we're seeing. Okay. So Zeke is going to be back.
Zeke's going to be back. I think that obviously changes the whole dynamic. But again, like he alluded to, I kind of assumed he was coming back.
Nice hat.
I didn't think that he wouldn't. I just wasn't sure when. So clearly, teams that took him anywhere in the first round obviously are going to get first round production, assuming he's healthy and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you had to wait for week 2, week 3. I mean, honestly, yes, Zeke is a freak. Okay, let's get that right. Zeke is a freak. Totally admit it. Totally believe that Zeke is a freak. And you may see him come in. He may be ready to get limited touches for the first game, but you're going to see him, and you may see him come in and break a run. Zeke's back. He doesn't need yet. No, because what's going to happen in practice the following week, doing drills, soft tissue. Something soft tissue is going to go, and then he's going to be out for 2 weeks.
I would hope
happens.
not. I don't know. I mean, sure, it does. And if you go past that and look hindsight, then yeah, you can paint that picture. Going forward, I don't know what picture to paint. I do know that they have one of the best offensive lines in football. And I do know that when him, Cooper, and Dak were on the field last year, they were probably top 3, 4 production as a group. So that looks like that's going to be the case now. And if that's the case now, I'm all in. And I'm all in on Dallas this year. I'm all in on the offense. I think Dak
The defense is no joke either.
Somewhat underrated. The defense is pretty good too. I think they're as close as they've been in a few years, and especially if Dak takes even just a slight step forward.
Just a baby step.
We'll see. I think Jerry's very happy. I think the pieces are in place, and I'm curious to see how things start.
Guru, what do you think about the Cowboys?
I love Amari Cooper. I think this is a contract year for him. It's a little 2-year deal, and you know how that works out.
It works out huge.
Monstrous. He's going to have a big year.
Huge,
I
giant-sized.
do want to talk about Amari Cooper a little bit and play somewhat of a devil's advocate. I do think he's in a good spot, but I do want you to remember he's never had more than 6 touchdown catches in any year. He's coming from a situation, obviously, where it wasn't as good as it is potentially now, but I wouldn't look at the Cowboys as a prolific passing offense by any stretch. I think they're going to stay close to the vest. So, again, be careful, I think, and I'll allude to this later, about putting players in positions. Just because a void opens up, it doesn't assume that player is going to fit that void the way maybe a previous player did. But we'll talk about that. My point about Cooper is be careful. The volume will be there. He is the guy. Dallas is a good football team. They have a great offensive line, but it's not a prolific passing offense. And
that's a fine segue into players who won't fill voids. Yeah. That's a fine segue into that. What are some other players that are stepping into roles that are not necessarily going to fill the voids?
Well, we didn't talk about Melvin Gordon yet in terms of some of the news that have come out. Now, these are some of the players on that team.
Shuffling around, not moving around.
Well, the reason why I'm saying Gordon is because now Gordon's requesting a trade. So clearly,
he's been given permission to seek a trade.
Which means that he doesn't want to be there. He's probably not going to be a Charger. What I'm talking about is it's going to open up doors for players that we're going to talk about next. Gordon's going to leave a huge void has to be filled.
Huge.
And we're going to assume that just because there are players on the roster that those players are going to assume those voids.
Right.
Not necessarily the case. No. People are high on Austin Eckler. I think we all know who Austin Eckler is. He's not going to be a bell cow back. Whoever else is in that position, I think what you're going to clearly see is just be careful not to chase what was left behind, but instead find what's there now. And I think the floor is safer with the pass production in an offense than trying to take a player like an Eckler and move him up a couple of spots in the draft, or whoever else you think is going to be the next guy up in line and move him up a couple of spots in the draft. I think what it's safer to do for an approach is take the guys that you know give you the production, like the Keenan Allens, like a guy if you're high on Hunter Henry, and move those guys up a few spots.
Mike Williams
as well, whoever it is on that side of the ball. And here's some statistical information to support that. The Chargers this year, they're going to be facing the second toughest run defense as opposed to facing the 29th ranked passing defense. So shouldering the load seems to be a little bit easier on the offensive side, throwing the football for them. And you got gunslinger Mr. Rivers, and you know he likes Keenan Allen, and you got a Hunter Henry guy that's going to be stepping up.
Phillip Rivers, who, by the way, went undrafted in the Screwy Louie Football League last night.
Wow.
Undrafted. By the way, hello to everybody in the Screwy Louie Football League. Yeah. Hello to everybody in Danny's Dirty Dozens. Hello to whatever few people from our office league, the Diamond Dolls League, happen to be tuning in. You all suck. We will crush you. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, Rivers is going to be a streaming
last
option.
Night, was Screwy Louie. I enjoyed that.
One of the reasons Rivers went undrafted, though, he has the same bye date as several other top quarterbacks.
Well, that's the reason why you didn't draft him. That's why.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's why you because you didn't draft it. Well, you got a good backup quarterback anyway, though.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Well,
I got Carr at the Jets. Which
oh,
it's an East Coast 1 o'clock game. I'm screwed.
he's screwed. Okay, so mark that off as an L.
back to Rivers. He's going to be on somebody's team this year at some point, either on somebody's
Oh,
bench.
yeah.
And I would not be surprised if he's your number one streaming options if he's out there most weeks. I mean, Rivers will be taken.
He may end up in the upper tier of quarterbacks because, especially like you said, he's going up against an average of the 29th ranked pass defense.
And not being able to run the football obviously is going to lead to more throwing the football. So
Well, all I know is I have both Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson on the same team. They're both on my bench. I'm waiting to see who's who and what's what.
yeah, things can shake out, and certainly one or two of those guys, or both of those guys, could see great production.
Great production.
I just say it's not safe to assume that just because something opens up, that next person in line is going to be able to create that same production. And most times that's not the case. Here's another example. Damian Williams in Kansas City. Everybody, now again, he hasn't hit the field yet, but oh my gosh, when this drafting first started a month ago, he was a first-round pick in some drafts just because there was an opening. Now
He was going as high as 7th in
it's
some drafts.
insane, and now it's come back to earth, and you're getting him in the 4th or 5th rounds, and it's still if come because again, now they've got LaShawn McCoy, and now they've got this, and that. It's do not assume that because a position opens, you can just put somebody in there and they're going to get that
And
production.
listen, Damian Williams is a fantastic receiving back, okay? And he's an Oklahoma back.
Okay.
And he's a good pro.
Okay.
But he has never won a running back competition ever.
You have to go
With
back
the
and look.
Dolphins, he got beat out by Reggie Bush. He got beat out by Kenyon Drake. He got beat out by Jay Ajayi, of all people.
These are guys,
Okay?
Carlos Hyde, another example. These are these sorts of guys that bounce from team to team, and because they land in a new spot, you're like, oh, wow, he's going to be a beast this year.
Well, listen, Hyde's mystique is all built upon his first 4 years when he was with San Francisco. We all know, even as a rookie,
Right.
Okay, he was a guy, and in spite of what Russ may say, what the guru may say, he catches the ball out of the backfield. He was a game guy. He was a huge producer, whether it be through the air, whether it be on the ground, especially on the brain. He get bang with San Francisco.
Okay.
He was carrying San Francisco for
But
some horrible years.
3 teams in less than 3 years, as good as he may have been, whatever the issue is now, it's not good enough to stay on the team.
But he's getting traded,
Okay.
which means that there's value, and they obviously know the skill set.
And fantasy-wise, he's steady Eddie as a flex player. So that's never been an issue.
Yeah, and like I said, one of the reasons why he's bouncing around and he's getting traded or he's getting signed via free agency is because of those first 4 years he had in San Francisco when he tore it up. And these teams see that, and they know he has that capability. Now, he's been in some situations where he hasn't been able to lock down the starting job, whether it be in Cleveland, where he got supplanted by Nick Chubb, or got traded to Jacksonville, where he never really turned out to be the main backup for Fournette. Fournette went, "You traded for a guy? I'm coming back." Fournette taped it up, rubbed some dirt on it, and got the fuck back in there. So a little pressure on Fournette. And what did it cost them? A 5th round draft choice?
Something like that.
Something like that. So,
Well, I have no interest in Carlos Hyde. You guys can take him, and no matter what you want to take him.
Okay,
So,
he bears watching. How
Yeah.
about that?
I'll watch him on somebody else's team.
Watch on somebody else's team. Okay. So we've gone over the moves and the movers. So any other movers?
One more injury we didn't mention real quick. Edelman played in the last preseason game.
Right.
It was a thumb injury he had coming in. There was some
Right.
questions in the market about him not being available for the regular season.
Masturbation
But
accident.
I think he's a left-hander. But he
cut
got
himself
in.
shaving.
He got into the game. And he played, and he came out of the game without further injury. So I'm assuming he's a week 1 go as well, and I hope so because I have him on one of my teams. So.
And currently, he's a 4th-round draft pick the last 4 or 5 days.
Right,
Yeah.
and deservedly so. And excuse me, I didn't mean to cast any dispersions that Julian Edelman would be masturbating and hurt his thumb. Maybe he hurt his thumb banging hot college girls that like to put up Instagram pictures going, "I just banged Edelman." So maybe, but
It's possible.
life is hard for him and his beard. Okay, so we moved beyond the injuries and the free agents and the trades, and let's see, any other moves?
I don't think it's been. Again, it's been for years now. It's going back several years. This has been a pretty quiet preseason, has it not? Do you guys agree?
Well, listen, the preseason is now designed where the last cut doesn't come until after the 2 days after the last preseason game.
Saturday after
Saturday after preseason,
Yeah.
4 p.m. Okay, so what you're seeing now in the fourth week of preseason is you're seeing teams trade pieces for trade depth players.
They're
or
positioning
players
themselves. They're jockeying
Right.
themselves based
Well,
on what they
it's
think
not
they
even
need.
jockeying because it's almost like preseason is almost like a second scouting season for personnel people, because then all of a sudden you'll see one team that needs offensive line help. Okay, let's just say the Miami Dolphins, and they know that they're going to be making a move with Tunzel. They went out and picked up 3 offensive linemen. They made 2 trades and an acquisition. They picked a guy up off of waivers because they knew they were going to need more offensive line help. So they went and they made trades. You see, the Patriots have been making trades for a defensive end here, an offensive tackle there. Teams are making trades all, and of course Houston, who's been super active, making all of these week 3, week 4 trades, or picking up these guys that teams are doing some of these veteran players a real solid by cutting them in week 3, week 4,
giving them a chance to
catch on with
sign.
somebody else.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, which is also another thing. So what you're seeing is the activity. As far as personnel-wise, the first 2-3 weeks of the preseason is null. Everybody's got their guys. I'm keeping all my guys here. No, this is my guys. Okay, so they're keeping them all there. They're evaluating the crap out of everybody. They're sticking a microscope up everybody's ass and making sure everybody else. And then they start moving them around. And that's when you start seeing the trade offers.
Yeah.
Because your personnel guy has been tracking these players, and he's been watching their progress in preseason, and they go, "This is going to be a good guy." And the guy might be a rookie free agent. The guy might be a depth guy on one team that has a great say defensive line. So he's a second or third tier guy in a rotation, but you need a defensive end. And go get that guy.
Yeah.
What's it going to cost us? A 7th round draft choice in 2022? Here, 7th round draft choice. We want that guy. So that's what you're starting to see. You're starting to see a little more of the subtle personnel moves because each team is holding on to such a massive amount of players. So it's encouraging trades, and I like it actually. I like the activity, but all that activity is really centered around like the end of week 3 and then up to the deadline of that Saturday and 4 p.m. after the week 4. So it's getting there. It's getting there. And as fantasy players, we've just got to go, what?
Yeah, we're waiting on every bit of information, every
Oh
bit of
my
news
God.
drop, any bit of anything. Most of our waiver wires are like Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, right? Is that when they first start for most leagues? When you can go get your players? Waivers at 10, 9?
The waivers free agent.
Yeah.
With the office league that we have, it's free for all at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right now, it's free for all status for everybody.
I think it is
You can go get
now,
who you want.
but everybody's waiting on the news drops.
Me and the Guru picked up a kicker yesterday because we made the mistake of we like to draft kickers that have that are from productive offenses, of course,
and domes.
and domes, and so we picked up Tavecchio,
Atlanta.
who promptly lost his job to 74-year-old Matt Bryant, whom they brought back off the trash heap in Atlanta.
That's because they couldn't put his name on a uniform. That's why. You guys didn't read the story.
Yeah.
They said, listen, you got to lose one of the C's in that name or else we're going to cut you. And he's like, well, I'm going to piss off.
Part of the T in the beginning of the name is
Yeah.
hanging off his left shoulder,
Yeah, plus-
running into the numbers.
So they're like, no, we're going to cut you.
So we had to make a move last night, and we're talking last night. We're talking like midnight, like 12:30. We're on the back porch. I'm having a smoke. We're chilling. We're talking kickers. And, well, let's go look at a kicker. Why don't we? And we picked up a nice one. We picked up Badgley, right? Yeah, Badgley. Yeah, Badgley at San Diego.
Okay.
By the way, kid with a strong leg, and like you said, San Diego's going to score a lot of points.
They should.
So
They
He hit a
should.
59-yarder last year. He's a 94% kicker
All right.
he got some leg.
with
Okay.
a high-powered offense. So
I drafted the chick. I put her on my bench.
Carrie Lloyd.
Yeah, just
Or Carly
because
Lloyd.
I want to be that guy, and I just
Well,
want to not play her.
She is pretty.
I'm going to say this: even if she does make the squad, I'm going to bench her just for principle.
Well, now here's my question. Since I'm a sexist pig, would she have the nicest butt in the NFL at that point?
No comment.
No. Oh, the married guy. Okay, Russ. Would she have the nicest butt in the NFL at that time?
sure.
Sure.
Fair.
What about Patrick Mahomes? He fills out them pants pretty good.
I never looked.
You guys
You never
believe in
looked.
aliens?
Oh, okay. Oh, how metropolitan. All right. As you can see, I can't get them to get into an uncomfortable schedule. That would be the comedy portion of the show. So let's see. We've covered everything up into the first break. Is there anything you want to get before we go into a quick break?
Well, I guess we should certainly preview that when we come back. We have a game actually on Thursday to talk about.
Yes. Oh, we're going to talk about that because
We're also going to discuss our DraftKings lineups.
yeah, well,
about getting that
and,
started.
do we want to discuss our individual drafted teams so far? Which the three of us have got 2 each.
Yeah, sliders and movers.
Sliders and movers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sliders and reachers.
Those two.
The slides and the reach arounds.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds a little nasty. Okay,
Yeah.
so what we're going to do is we're going to jump to a quick break here. We're going to take about a minute and a half of your time. We do aim to amuse, so pay attention to the break. Because it's going to start off with something very, very germane to football. All you football lovers out there are going to love this. You're going to die. And we're probably going to get flagged for it, but I don't give a shit. I really don't, because it's one of my favorite Simpsons episodes of all time. So we'll be back right after this with more Gonzo Radio Sports Desk.
Good practice, team. Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cuts. Now, while I wasn't able to cut everyone I wanted to, I have cut a lot of you. Wendell is cut. Rudy is cut. Janie, you're gone. Steven, I like your hustle. That's why it was so hard to cut you. Congratulations. The rest of you made the team. Except you, and you.
This is December.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
I get
Talk
that.
amongst yourselves while we're
Yeah.
coming back from the break, because
We're
this
both
is the most
quarterbacks
professional.
healthy.
Hey,
We know
hey!
As far as we know,
Hey! Don't make me get the hose.
this is just
I know.
historical
Welcome back to the
information,
Gonzo Radio
basic-
Sports Day. Shush! I will turn your microphone off. I swear. Can I get the lead back in? Thank you.
Do it.
I'm gonna get I gotta get one of those. I gotta get one of those squirt guns for bad cats.
This is good radio.
No. Psst, psst. And now you're taking off.
Wait, I'm sorry. Don't leave. Come back.
He did. He left. Look, he's gone. What did you do?
I love arguing with him about his stats.
I can't shut these guys the fuck up on the break. They just
You know
start.
what?
I'm giving the professional cues. I'm like, all right, 20 seconds, 10
let's,
seconds, and
let,
they're going. Bah, 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 bah,
let's
bah,
give the audience a chance to look at some of the stuff we looked at off camera so that we can decide and they can decide who's got not so much the better argument, but something that maybe shows a little more clarity.
We got to do this later in the day so I can at least get you guys drunk or something, slow you down. Yeah. All right, are you back?
I'm back.
Are you back?
I'm
Are
back.
you sure you need coffee?
This is lemonade.
Oh, it's lemonade. Lemonade, that cool, refreshing drink. Thank you very much. Okay, so now that I scratch my itchy nose, I can't even scratch my nose. This is a professional sports show. So let's see. We've covered injuries. We've covered the latest moves. We've covered all the crap. Now let's get down to drafts. This is the most wonderful time of the year. And a lot of drafts are already in.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of drafts had to get moved around, especially for people here in the state of Florida, because we were all scared shitless of Hurricane Dorian.
The whole
So
southeast coast had to get moved around.
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about us.
Some people are still moving.
Yeah, some people are still moving around. We've had, with the exception of the Diamond Dolls League, of course, which they were smart enough to do it last week. We've had We've had Screwy Louie got moved twice. Danny's Dirty Dozens got moved at least once, if not twice. Which, by the way, we have to do that at 3:00 today. Hi everybody. Hi Danny. Hi anybody and everybody. Anybody in the chat room that's chiming in from, or is it the usual Gonzo Radio suspects? Why would you type? Hello, Russ.
I'm answering something.
Oh, well, you're the guy in the chat room. I'm asking you the question. Right. Is there anybody in the chat room?
Yes, there are. The one question is, what was the last argument about? And
it's coming. It's coming. Not an argument, but it was more like, you know what are you doing here? And I'm like,
I'm asking who is in the chat room. I'm not asking for questions yet. I'll get to that part. Let the director direct you.
We got Debbie. We got Iris.
Oh, don't be sarcastic. Don't be salty.
And we got Mike.
Iris, yell at him. Iris will yell. I'll have Iris yell at you, and she'll continue it in real life. So we got Debbie. We got Iris. We got and you know what it is. You know what it is. And I know you're out there. I know you guys from Danny's Dirty Dozens. I know you guys from Screwy Louie. I know you guys from the Guru's Guru. I know you guys are out there and you're watching, and you're taking notes. And guess what? Resistance is futile, because when you're in a draft with us, you're going to get your ass kicked anyway. So it's okay. But watch, please. Be a loyal watcher and watch myself and the Maz and the Guru's Guru, who seems to be increasingly drifting off the camera. Are you okay? Okay, just go do your thing. Go do your chat room thing. Just watch it as we enact what we advise. Okay? I mean, you don't have to take notes. Just watch. Bear witness. We're all going to get our asses kicked. You know that, right? We're talking shit on a podcast.
No, so you're talking shit. I'm studying and reading. I'm winning the league this year. All three, as a matter of fact. How's that?
See?
Yeah.
He's
put that in your ass.
Yeah,
not your ass, literally, but somebody's ass. Put it in your ass. You may want to get. Anyway, so all right, let's argue. I want to argue. Let's argue.
I don't do butt stuff.
Let's argue. All right, it's not an argument. Listen.
Argue, fight.
Present what it is. Let me lead and say that in baseball,
somebody throw a pie.
One of the things that I look at is BVP. Very simply, it's batter versus pitcher. It's the history of a performance between two players. Okay, and that's what you have. You have somewhat of a controlled variable and dynamic, because you got a pitcher, you got a batter. A pitcher has a specific style. The batter has a specific skill set. Pitcher throws ball, batter hits ball. You have an outcome. So I use it as a tool in baseball, and the reason why, because again, there's still noise and variance within that, because weather conditions for that particular day could have been different. They're playing in different ballparks. The guy had a cold that day. I mean, there's lots of noise and stuff that we can't always account for.
He had gas that day.
Creating that sort of a foundation for what we're talking about for football. I know a lot of people, when they're betting, like to look and go back and see maybe how a specific team's performance did against that particular team. What's the Cowboys' record against the Eagles over the last 10 years? And you'll come up with a number, let's say they're 23-6. To me, that means very little for Game 30, because what were all the conditions and variables within those other 29 games?
Especially within the last 2 or 3 years. Especially in the last 2 or 3 years with the same or similar personnel.
Well, there's so much attrition within the NFL. Players and positions are changing all the time. Unless you can definitively say that, yeah, these 11 guys lined up against these 11 guys, and the conditions were as such, then yeah, I think you have some credence in terms of maybe drawing parallels in terms of stats and numbers. But other than that,
it was raining. A couple of guys were
I think you can only use those sorts of things for maybe another tool, but you should have many tools in your toolbox. You shouldn't just depend upon what this team did against that team over the last, let's say, 10 matchups, 20 matchups, 30 matchups, whatever it may be. Football is very unique to that. So I will give you the floor.
Ready for the rebuttal?
I'm ready.
Captain. Okay, Captain Headshake.
The rebuttal is that this is week one. We got nothing to go on.
You can come over a little more if you want. You can get into the picture.
Very good. This is week one. We have nothing to go on. We have no season statistics of 2019 to base our decisions on. As we progress through the season, we'll have numbers to back up our decisions. But at this point, all we have is preseason, which there's no information there for the most part, and last year, just as something to reference our decisions on. Now, Packers and Bears, there's not a whole lot of players that you're going to have out there for the most part. Rodgers, Adams. Woo-hoo. Possibly Aaron Jones as a flex, possibly, but he struggled against the Bears last December, Week 15 in Chicago. He had 4 rushes for 8 yards.
What about the hyphen?
All right. The hyphen again. You're not starting
MVS?
If he's
Yeah,
not on your
he
team.
doesn't get
He's not one.
Valdez-Scantling,
He's not
the
one.
hyphen.
He's
Yeah.
not one of your starting receivers. Okay.
No, he's WR2 at best.
Yeah, a WR3, whatever. He's on your bench. He's a bye date guy right now.
Right.
At this juncture.
For week 1, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Now the Bears is pretty much the same situation. Trubisky had a good game against the Packers in December. Bears won 24-17. Rodgers was held without a touchdown pass. Okay, it's December. We get that, but this is at least something to base our decisions on.
Yeah.
You're going to start Rodgers regardless. He's your number one QB. Unless you have another quality matchup on your roster that you can't pass up, like Rivers at Detroit, I think is, or wherever he's at this week, or whatever the case may be. The only Bears to start this week, even Robinson is a WR3 on most rosters, and he's not going to be a flex player. He actually was the only Bear who was decent last year in December again. He had 7 targets, 3 catches for 54 yards. He was the leading receiver for the Bears. In Trubisky's 235 yards, Robinson was the leading receiver. The only Bear to play is the Bears defense and the rookie running back, David Montgomery. I don't see starting any other Bears. Even Tariq Cohen as a flex, I would find a better flex start this week. Cohen
That was easy for you to say.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast.
Cohen had 5 rushes for 16 yards in that December game. He had 5.
Not a game for small people.
Right.
I think we should make a distinction, though.
And the Packers' defense is better this year. All right.
Because what you're doing
Even-
now is
even
what we're talking
without-
about is season long, clearly, because I'm going to draw a parallel to DFS, because the DFS is going to be something where you're going to want to take shots with some of the guys you mentioned. But clearly, I think in the season long, what he's saying is correct. You're looking for guys that are safe, that have a floor, that you kind of know where their production is going to lie. You wouldn't take a shot on MVS for regular season for your season longs, but I'm going to give you angles for DFS certainly into next week too when we start this. Why a guy like MVS is somebody you're going to take in DFS because he's going to be underlooked and underplayed and stuff like that.
Remind the watchers, the audience, what DFS and MBS is.
DFS is just daily fantasy sports. It's just the acronym for that. And
Right.
then obviously season long is everything that we're doing now with the drafts and our leagues and such like
You
that.
don't have to explain the DFS to DFSers. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Right, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
The layman
Sorry.
that we have.
Sorry. So, yeah, DFS is just as daily fantasy sports. It's any of the sports. It could be baseball, it could be basketball, whatever they offer.
But we're doing football.
Well, we're doing football. I'm just saying, but that's DFS is not football fantasy. It's just daily fantasy sports. It encompasses any of the sports we're doing. Obviously, we're doing football.
So
Right.
for the Bears Thursday night, I'm starting David Montgomery and possibly Allen Robinson. He would be a flex if anything, and Bears defense on the Bears side. And that's all I got on that.
Oh, I have slightly more. My Screwy Louie team, by the way, I guess we're getting into our drafts now. Is that what we're going to do?
We could, sure.
Because we got that game coming up. And since it's germane to the game, last night's Screwy Louie Football League draft, the 29th annual Screwy Louie Football League draft, one of the charter members ended up having to auto draft.
I saw that.
Because we changed the time and the league and we went CBS, then we had to go back to ESPN because and I quote myself, it tends to be the bitchy grandma league. Because if you try to do anything or change anything like a bitchy grandma, I don't like that. That's not good. Don't mow the lawn that way. The bushes look different. Why is there a cat here? Well, it's the bitchy grandma. There's about 5 or 6 players, and they just want to bitch about everything. And they bitch via the rhetorical question. But what about? I'm telling you, it's worse than being on a fucking political blog because you got 5 different people that they don't want to accomplish anything. They just want to bitch about something.
Yeah.
So,
Fill
but
time.
I love them, and a lot of them have been around for a long time. So,
Literally.
like a bitchy grandma, you go, yeah, grandma, yeah, no problem, grandma, I'll fix it, grandma, no problem. And although the battery, Josh, isn't one of those people. Josh is one of those people that just goes along with it. Because believe me, if one of those 4 or 5 bitchy grandmas ended up in a situation where they had to auto draft, they would be like, I'm not playing. We're not getting it. No, I'm not playing. And then we'd end up having to get somebody to take their auto drafted team.
Fortunately,
which
it
would
didn't happen. Yeah, but fortunately, it didn't
It would happen
happen.
because there's people waiting. There's people waiting to get in because
Yeah.
it's a long-established league. But there's a lot of chaos involved in that. And one of our founding members had to auto-draft. And he did a pretty good job auto-drafting, by the way.
He auto-drafted right in front of me. He was 2. I was 3.
Drive you nuts, didn't it?
Only not so much time-related stuff because I knew it, because once it posted after, I think, the 3rd round, then he was on auto-draft.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, he's auto-drafted.
So
But again...
the BPA is going to go in front of you.
Well, exactly. And I knew that. So I was watching that and thinking, well, I'm not getting him. I'm not getting him. I'm not getting him type of thing. And it worked out. So it didn't really affect me. You were the only one, essentially. I think you picked, what, 5 or 6? Or 7?
6.
You were 6?
I was 6 and
Yeah.
the Guru was 5.
Each you guys
we
caught me
flip-flopped.
once late, like in the 7th and 8th. I don't remember the players, but I was
Matt
like,
Breida.
oh, maybe
Matt Breida,
he
I
was
got
the
Matt Breida
one.
from you. I knew you were looking at Breida.
Yeah.
You were going, "Ooh, Breida's sliding." No,
Yeah,
he's
I think he was
not.
Breida, and there was one other pick that I think you took a wide receiver from me. I don't remember who it was,
Might
but
have been Emmanuel Sanders.
I don't remember. It was
Curtis
late.
Samuel or
Maybe
something
it was
like that.
Curtis Samuel. He was sticking
Let's-
around late, and he was available, and I was like, I'm going to get him, and no,
Let's
I'm
just
not.
all agree we spent equal time hosing each other out of picks that we wanted.
Yes, that's the beauty of the draft.
You know, Russ grabbed Mahomes at 5 like a madman because he knew that if he went to 6, he's like, Gonzo will reach for him. I know Gonzo will reach for him. Fuck Gonzo, I'm taking him right now. 5, you bastard. And he's laughing. He just laughs. He just giggles every time because he knows. Because he knows. He knows. You know, and he did, but then again, I got him a couple of times on the way back out.
Yeah.
So you know, it was a really fun draft, and you wouldn't be able to tell that I drafted my team while setting up a PA for a comedy show. But yeah, I was setting up a PA. I was sitting at the Brass Monkey. I went there early. I had my phone set up, and I'm eating dinner. And I'm sure people were walking by wondering why I'm cussing at my phone, like asshole, douchebag, I hate you, And people stopped looking at it. Is that guy all right? Is he okay? Should we call the police or something? He's one of those mentally ill guys. He's cussing at his phone.
You know what I think we should do next week?
What?
I think we should have all of us should do our standings for the entire league. I think we should do an end of the year finish, how we think teams are going to end up in the division. We'll do a whole breakdown. We'll do it individually. We won't share our information, and we'll just come back and we'll post it next week along with some other stuff we're going to put on there. You guys on board?
Okay, so Gonzo and everybody else.
No. I teams. I thought you were talking about the NFL. You want to talk fantasy football? How your fantasy football teams are going to do?
No. Wins, losses, just the NFL.
Yes, that's. What are you talking about?
Wins, losses, NFL. That's all.
Oh, I was focused on fantasy football.
That's okay. You know what? Why don't you change seats with him? And
Yeah,
then
I'm
let's put him
telling
over
you.
here. We'll figure this out. Win, losses for the NFL. I'm gonna. If you want me to make you a graph, I will. All the different teams, all the divisions, and we're just going to go ahead and list our win losses and how like a prediction for the end of the year. We'll have a playoff tree. We'll have a Super Bowl
Or
champion.
here's a good one. Every year there's 5 different teams in the playoffs. Give me the 5 new teams that will be in the playoffs this year.
We can have a poll on that if we want
The
to.
Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that was.
So anyway, next week we'll be prepared for that. Also, I also want to have our DraftKings lineup posted. We will be working on that during the week.
Yes, we will be working on it. In other words, we will be putting money into it.
We
Yes,
will
I
have our cash game breakdown, which we'll explain next week, and also our tournament breakdown lineup, which we'll explain next week, and everybody can just post and paste, or paste and post, or how does that work?
And being 11 o'clock in the morning on football Sunday.
It's game day.
Injury reports.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Stardom, Sid'em, inactives. We'll have all that for
A
you.
lot.
Yeah.
All right. So here I am wondering where the fuck are we going next? We've done the game. We've done
Give me the first 5 picks in the draft today.
first
Now-
5 picks in our draft.
And now that Elliott,
Well, I wanted to chew on all 3 of our drafts because all 3 of us have had drafts in 2 different leagues, or in 2 leagues.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to chew on those a little bit.
Okay.
Because we were going from the Green Bay game to the fact that I have the Green Bay stack
Mm-hmm.
in the in the Screwy Louie Football League. For some strange reason, somebody in front of me kept grabbing players I wanted, so I had to go with the best player available. And in Screwy Louie, Devontae Adams slid to the second round.
which is insane.
The second round.
Insane. Here's a guy that led the league in red zone targets last year. Okay, 26 red zone targets last year. Led the league, and you're getting him in the second round.
Because I picked up Hopkins at 6 because Mahomes was gone, and when I got to the second round, and at the top of the second round, I'm sitting there and I'm watching. Okay, and I'm like, no way Adams is going to slide to me. No way he's going to slide to me.
I was shocked.
And when he got to me, I was like, And like I said, if somebody was just walking by, they would have heard me say, best player available.
Yeah. Now, preface though, that was a 10-team league that we drafted.
Yeah,
so,
but-
12-team league. That's 4 more picks before he comes back to you.
Yeah, he wouldn't make it to me. He wouldn't make it to me. Then.
It would be a crime at that point if he did. So we have to stress, obviously, league size. That's important too, guys. Your league size is important. That changes the draft structure. Most leagues are 12. I know some desperates, or I don't want to say desperate, but maybe are hurting for guys. They back down to 10. Ours has always been 10. But
well, we've had as many as 14 in the past.
which will work too. That thins the pool quite a bit, thins
14
the bench.
with notebooks and newspapers.
Yeah. So again, I mean, there are no right and wrong. It just changes the dynamic of your league. You just got to be aware. Got to be prepared.
We are.
Adams, second round
think.
pick. Wow, that's
You're
insane.
welcome.
Very lucky.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
insane.
well, at that juncture, when I picked up Hopkins, the first thing that went to the back of my mind was round 6, round 7, you're going to grab Deshaun Watson instead of waiting until 9, 10, like a normal quarterback. Watson is one of those guys that's like right there between the elite level and the
Well, actually, he's been going in the 6th round.
6th round. See, okay, well that was
Even
the,
5th round at times.
right. Well, that was my mindset. I was going to get that guy, And then when Adams came around in the 2nd, I was like, oh, I have options now because if I don't get Watson, I can get Rodgers, and Rodgers is a little farther back, And I mean, one thing that I did is I set Watson at a certain level, and I hit the Q for him, and I set Rodgers at a certain level, and Rodgers was about 9 picks lower, and sure enough, Rodgers ended up being a great plan B. Because he's Aaron friggin' Rodgers. They do have a new offensive system, but from what we've seen, it's a pretty dynamic spread offensive system.
Oh, more importantly, you seem to think that he's getting along with his coach, which was important at this point. So,
There's nothing
Yeah.
but love.
a lot of California sunshine out there in Green Bay.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Love it. So I am getting myself ready here. I am saddled with that stack Thursday night against the Bears defense.
concerned. Listen, I got to be honest. I'm not overly high on the Packers this year in general. Now, fantasy-wise, those guys still may get theirs. But in terms of the Packers and the team and the division they're in, the Bears obviously are improved. I don't know. It's going to be a tough sled. And Rodgers, his play overall, at least sabermetrically, in the last 2 years has declined considerably. He's less than a 500 quarterback on the road over the last 3 seasons.
Right.
And his overall passer rating has gone down significantly. So, again, you can attribute that to a lot of things. The issue, I think, with Green Bay is how come they've never given him a running game? Or at least some semblance of a running game. Now, I'm not going to say Green Bay is going to be a running team.
Well, they believe in Aaron Jones.
Okay, but they had him last year too, and I know there was injuries, and again, you can always go back to the injuries and stuff like that. But
And
again,
offensive line
when
issues.
you have the same pieces in place over and over again, and the production doesn't meet any certain particular level,
Right.
unless those pieces change, how could you expect a different outcome? So, granted, you know who Rodgers is. You know he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. You know Adams is a beast on the outside. The offensive line is shaky at best, I think, still. And the defense has always been kind of marginal as well. So you're resting your laurels on the same things you've rested them on before. And if you go just based upon performance, there's been a decline. So, again, are you just assuming things are going to get better? Or you just, for some reason, have changed things to know that you're in a position to make things better? I'm not too sure.
Well, let's remember that their fantasy numbers were good last year. Rodgers, good numbers.
They were.
Adams, good numbers.
Great numbers last
you
year.
Can even say you can even say Aaron Jones Aaron Jones. He had decent numbers.
I think he was an RB 12 or 13 last year or something
Right.
like that. But again,
the numbers were decent. Okay, so we come back with an improved offensive line.
maybe.
A different system that seems to be more predicated on what Rodgers wants.
That's a definite.
Okay. They pretty much tailored it to whatever he wanted.
Well, they never not did that. Towards the end, it maybe
Right.
changed. There was a relationship strain there
Right.
between the two.
Yeah.
But
There's
now that,
definitely a relationship strain between him and Mike. What's his
well,
face?
but clearly you see whose team it is now that Rodgers is still there and McCarthy's gone.
Right.
But I mean, yeah. So
and McCarthy divaed his way out. let's just face it, he diva coached his way out the door.
Yeah.
He really seriously did.
You know what the analogy I heard? This is from Colin Cowherd on one of his shows.
Oh,
He said the reason why their relationship got to the point is you looked at those two guys and you saw Aaron Rodgers as the California pretty boy and you saw Andy Reid as the old retired Chicago cop. And you put the two side by side and
mean
you're
McCarthy.
like, I'm sorry, I said Reid. Yes. And you put the two side by side and you're like, really? That match, that marriage,
Odd couple?
divorce. Yeah, it was about
Divorce.
time. It worked and it was good for a while,
Yeah.
but it ran its course.
Yeah.
So, and Aaron Rodgers is the one who's running the show. Clearly, he's your quarterback. So,
Well, and there's also a lot of people, especially assistant coaches and players, who say that Mike McCarthy's lost touch with the modern day player too, which is I think is a big reason why you're seeing such a how can I say such a sea change in the age of head coaches.
Okay.
The sea change. The old guys are out the door. The old school dudes are gone.
okay, I'm going to argue this a
Okay?
little bit to you.
You can argue it all you like because I know there's old school guys that are still around like Andy Reid, okay, but you're seeing
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick,
Pete Carroll.
I understand, but those are but wait, those are coaches who have been able to relate universally. Okay, when you go to New England, the Patriot way is predicated on Darth Belichick, okay, Lord Belichick, okay. You already know you go in there, you cannot be a millennial. You cannot be upset. You cannot go, oh, I feel attacked. Oh, I need a safe place. I need a safe space because you can just safe space your ass out the door.
Okay.
Psychologically, they're not even going to let you get in the room
Okay.
because you've got to take that Wonderlic test. You've got to take their psychological exam. You are going to be vetted, so they're not going to bring any sort of sensitive, sissy millennial kid into that room. It's just not going to happen.
But that has to do with the coach, not because the coach is a certain age or has potentially lost touch with the millennials.
Right.
Okay, so remember, you're establishing a point and saying, well, the older guys are moving out, the younger guys are moving in. I'm explaining the older guys, like you've just defended that, they have it in place and they're not going to buck it because they have it in place, not because of any other reason. The culture is what it is.
But no, the only way that the culture is intractable, like what you say, and it's in place and they're not going to be able to move the needle on it, is because that culture is super successful. So players know that they're going to have to come into that situation, and personnel people know that personalities mean everything now.
Sure it does. But relatability, what
Especially
you
with
alluded
these
to,
millennial kids.
then that was important because the one point you did make that was relatable is I mentioned Pete Carroll. He also coached in college.
And
Harbaugh also coached in
and
college.
he relates to the kids.
But again, these are older coaches that are established, that are veteran coaches in
Right.
the league that just not because they relate because of their age, they relate because they relate.
Right.
It doesn't matter who they are or how old they are.
But the younger coaches that are coming in also are better at relating.
I think
You're
the
seeing
advantage is-
the older coaches that they replace
In situations, for sure.
Those older coaches do not relate. They're used to dealing with grown ass men.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, from another generation.
I think the edge
Look
for
at
the
Jeff Fisher.
I think the edge for the younger coaches is not so much the relatability side of it, but more the analytical side of it. And I see the sabermetrics and stuff. I think the younger coaches, the McVays, the Gases,
Those are more the
even.
assistants.
Well, again, but those two, it's in the system now because you have younger assistants that are supporting this drive. You have younger coaches. And from that perspective, I can see where age relates to that sort of philosophy in football. But in terms of relatability, I still think look at Tomlin. He's been coaching for 20 years. These coaches that have been around for a long time that are successful are not the young coaches in the coaching carousel. They're the guys that do have the relatability.
There are a few exceptions, okay, and Tomlin's not that old. But I mean, why do you see a shift, say in Tennessee? Mike Munchak was a good head coach.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the friggin' playoffs. They were 9-7, and then all of a sudden, why? Vrabel is 15 years younger. Vrabel really related really well to the linebackers because he was a linebackers coach for New England. Okay, and what does that spell? That spells a culture change. And when they talk about culture change, part of that culture change is they need to find coaches that relate to these young kids better. Okay,
I agree with that
And
100%.
That's why you're snatching them from the college ranks. That's why you're snatching them off of benches. I mean, you look at Nagy. Nagy dealt with a rookie quarterback, and then he comes to Chicago and he gets another one.
Well,
Why? Because he deals with young quarterbacks.
I'm on board with the relatability, but I'm not saying that necessarily will transcend into success because, again, if you look at this Super Bowl champions, I mean, the Patriots clearly have been on top of that heap for the last several years.
He's an exception to the rule. You know, you couldn't turn the ringer off.
But you got Tomlin, you have other coaches, you got Carroll that have been around a while, that are still winning in the NFL, that are still winning titles. And that's
All right,
basically how it sets
draft.
up. But yeah, relatability is huge. Accountability is more important.
Tell Teddy to take. Tell him to take. I don't know. Tell him to take. Oh, he's got the 4th pick. Okay, Melvin Gordon. That's a great pick. There you go. Yeah, go Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, really. Go Austin Eckler.
It's a byproduct of draft day, and he's all over the place. He is the guru's guru, so a lot of people demand his attention. Actually, what you can do now that the guru's guru is gone, you can kick his chair over and then move over a little bit. You can actually take up the whole damn screen. Hey, look at that!
The whole
Look at that
picture
big
now.
shot. Now he's got shoulders. You have a right shoulder. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
There's a right side to your face.
That's
and the whole
incredible.
9 yards.
That's incredible.
All right, so but culturally, I'm telling you, it's a sea change culturally right now, okay? Because even no matter who the offensive mind is, the defensive mind is, the coaching mind is, these kids are only going to be able to relate. You're only going to be able to get the maximum out of these kids. Kids, KIDS, 21, 22-year-old grown-ass men, but they're 21, they're 22. They're firmly in that millennial group. They are firmly, yes, they're football players. They're different. But in a lot of instances, they're not different from the millennials. Okay, and they're going to take things a little. They're going to take things a little harder. They're going to be a little more sensitive. You're going to have to cajole them a little better. You're not going to be able to make them run gassers. Rah! Okay.
If what you're saying is entirely true, and I do think there is some truth to it, it's somewhat
Sean McVay,
sad.
huge.
It's somewhat sad, though,
Cliff
that
Kingsbury,
that in
huge.
any aspect of life, now it's in our sports where we have to kind of contoe to the inefficiencies of our people, of our players, because they are a certain way. I don't know. It rubs me so wrong,
You're so mean.
No, I'm just saying it. No. I'm saying if it's true. I'm not saying that millennials are this, millennials. I don't even like the term. All I'm saying is that if it is true, and if there's any credence to what you're saying, that because a person is the way they are, you accept them for their weakness and then contoe to the weakness. Instead of trying to address the weakness and correct it, you're like, well, it is what it is type of mentality. And you're like, well, we're going to have to now create an environment to support that weakness. And I think that's sad.
Society has yet to brand that a weakness. Guys like you, guys like me, middle-aged old crusty fuckers who want to get off my lawn, you rotten kid. And yes, go find a safe space while you're at it.
Well, I'm using the analogy
we
for
know
anything.
It's ridiculous, but
Forget the term millennial. What if it's a person that's got a bad knee and they're weak because they've got a bad knee? Now their options are go get surgery or keep limping around. So what do? Instead of going and getting surgery, they put a ramp by the front door now. That's my example. So now they can maybe a little bit more easily get up. But why would you put a ramp on the front door when you can go get a frickin' surgery? Fix the problem.
Okay.
I'm just saying, fix the problem instead of just
Get surgery.
Band-Aid. The world's about Band-Aids now. They're like, oh, if there's a problem, put a Band-Aid on it. And they turn away but guess what? You lift a Band-Aid, the problem is still there.
Well, and listen, in the inverse, you have a guy down here in Miami by the name of Flores who is going a little drill sergeant. But one thing that we're finding out about his coaching style and about his assistants, which, by the way, he has a wide range of very young assistants. Okay, he's got a lot of assistants that are like 34, 33. I think O'Shea, his offensive coordinator, is like 32. Okay, he's got a lot of young assistants. So, of course, they're going to relate to their players positionally. And what Flores has done has taken on the mantle of the stern father figure. Because, I mean, he is in his, he's like in his late 40s, like 46,
Okay.
47.
I'm sure he is a dad. I'm sure
And
he's got
been
kids.
all over the league. He's got multiple Super Bowl rings at various position coaching areas. He has dealt with at least 2 generations of players, so he knows how to deal with these guys. So he is the father figure, and he's allowing his younger coaches to be the uncles. Okay, and the kids are catching on because they're going to have a whole lot of kids to begin with.
As important as
So-
relatability is,
Yeah,
accountability is equally as important.
and he does that too. So-
Not just himself, but the persons or players that you're
Sure.
trying to teach and mentor and give responsibilities to and hold them accountable to their contracts and
Yep.
like any other job, any other professional that's out there.
Yep.
So again, accountability is just as important as
Right.
being able to relate. And I get it. The relatability is equally as important because you got to have guys in the same room that are on the same page. And
yeah.
whether it's socially, whether it's their backgrounds, I mean, that's why baseball clubhouses are so
Emotionally.
unique because you have all these guys in the same clubhouse. Football, same way. You got all these unique characters and personalities and backgrounds and races and creeds that all have to work together. So I get that. But it just makes a statement that when you recognize a weakness, instead of attempting to correct the weakness, you support the weakness and put buffers around the weakness so it doesn't hurt as bad. And I think that's just a bad precedent. I think accountability is much more important than it is to be just understanding the situation and then coming up with a solution and a remedy and then moving forward past that.
You were speaking about baseball. Baseball is one sport I would have to say that it has been proofed against societal shifts like that. I mean, facial hair comes and facial hair goes.
Yeah.
Okay, and hairstyles come and go, and a lot of that's team to team. I mean, the Yankees didn't used to allow any facial hair.
They still don't.
They still don't.
Yeah.
You know, the boss from the grave is
Yeah.
making you cut your hair and keep your face cleanly shaven.
And that's the Yankee way. And you know
Right.
what? When teams establish ways that work, guess
Right.
what? You can't criticize them.
And they will span the test of time.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely for sure. But I'm just saying is that the trend right now in the NFL is young, relatable coaches. The older coaches that are still there, the Andy Reids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Andy Reid has always been Uncle Andy to everybody. Okay, you listen to him because Andy Reid has forgotten more about football
Than most will ever know.
Any 10 friggin' experts will know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, I mean the one time that I saw Andy Reid as an announcer, as a color guy, it was for an NFC playoff game when he was between jobs between Philly and Kansas City.
Did he look bored?
No,
Because he was so smart.
He knew everything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was just easy.
He knew the play
Yeah.
before it got called.
That's what I'm saying.
He was like Tony Romo. Remember Tony Romo? They actually had to tone Tony Romo down a little bit.
Super
because he
smart.
was going in there and he was seeing the formation and he goes, now watch, he's going to come in motion. Yeah, this is a jet sweep.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
Yeah.
it's like he called the play.
Yeah, 23 formation.
And the one time that I saw Andy Reid as an analyst, as a color guy, and it was an NFC championship game or an NFC playoff game, and he was calling plays left and right, calling plays left, and I mean, even on the defense, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is a disguise coverage. No, watch, they're going to drop into a Tampa 2." They dropped into a Tampa 2,
Yeah.
and the pass was defensed, and I was like, that's why I love Andy Reid. I
Yeah.
do. I really do. I think that he is one of the best coaches to not have a Super Bowl ring.
I
right
agree.
now
He got such a
in the
bad-
history of the game.
You know what? I wish we can get rid of that knock on him to give them a title, just so we don't have to hear that anymore. Oh, he never won. And of course, you ask a Philly fan, and they want to hang him. You know.
Well, and being a big Dan Marino fan, believe me, I live with it daily.
Yeah.
But I mean, who else could motivate Terrell Owens to come off the injured list, take the shot to the knee to get in the Super Bowl, and have 6 catches and like 115 yards? I mean, he carried that offense up and down the field on his back, and that was Andy friggin' Reid
Yeah, it was a
that
lot of
got that insane diva to go to the needle, gut it out, and try to be a Super Bowl hero. And they almost won that game if it wasn't for McNabb's weak stomach. I'm telling you, Andy Reid is one, and I hope the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I'm cheering for the Chiefs like crazy.
Only
cheering
if
for
the
Chiefs.
Steelers aren't playing them in the
I mean-
AFC Championship game. Then I'll root for the Chiefs.
You know, it's a little heavy-handed with the background and the gold and the black, and you sitting there like that, and you're.
I know.
You know, it's.
Look out for the Steelers.
I got to change that. I got
You know, Vegas gave us a 9-win total, I
I got to
think.
change that banner behind you. I really do. I got to make you sit over here where there's some blue or something.
I can't wait for our predictions next week. Now, let me recap, okay, so you understand what I'm talking about. I want a breakdown. I want every division,
of NFL.
season-ending NFL, wins, losses, playoff tree, Super Bowl champion. I want that at 1.
The Dolphins are going to win the AFC East. There, I said it. You
There you
heard
go.
it here first.
Very good luck with that.
Oh, grandma arms. Okay, but
Yeah. Anyway, so
Remind me never to do this again.
yeah, so we'll have that next week. We'll have our DraftKings lineup up so people can see what we're doing. We'll have that
You
started.
can see that I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and good luck if you have any drafts today. We got one more big one coming at 3:00.
Yeah. It's,
I'm
it's-
3. Where are you in that draft?
Oh! I think I'm 11.
Ooh,
I think I'm 11. Yeah, I think I'm 11th. At least I've done some mock drafts, and I'm going to go do some mocks right after this.
Barkley at 1, clearly.
I am still waiting for the
now-
draft where somebody doesn't pick Barkley at 1. If they pick McCaffrey, if they pick whoever, especially if I know their phone number, I'm gonna text them. You're an idiot.
Now, obviously, you had the 1 pick. You had Barkley in the 1 draft. You haven't been near the top in the other 2. I've been 3 in 2 drafts. This today will be my second, third spot pick in my draft.
Ooh, fancy.
Who are you taking?
Me?
Now, assuming you're 3, assuming
I'm at third?
we're going to have Kamara, assuming he's available.
Hell yeah.
Of the 3, you got Kamara, Elliott, and McCaffrey. Who are you taking at 3?
If all 3 of them, Kamara, Elliott, McCaffrey.
Because one of them will be there. So if you had to, let's do this. Let's prioritize those 3 at 3 for you.
Kamara, McCaffrey, Elliott. I don't want Elliott because his early production is going to be for shit
Okay.
with injury potential. Means I would have to go out and spend another pick on Pollard. I actually like Kamara to put up Saquon Barkley numbers. I really do. I think he's 1A.
Here's where I am.
I think because they got rid of Ingram, and they've got such a schlub like Murray as his
I don't
backup.
think he's a schlub at all.
He's a short yardage schlub.
I don't think he's a schlub. I think you're wrong with that. With
Okay,
Murray.
but go ahead.
But what I'm saying, okay, fair. I mean, it's tough to say that you can go wrong with any of the first 4 picks. But for me, I'm hoping McCaffrey slips to 3 because I am. As a matter of fact, if I was 1, I think I would take McCaffrey 1 over Barkley. But again,
Interesting pick.
so I'm hoping
You're a
it.
crazy person.
To me, I'm hoping today at 3, it's McCaffrey. Now, yesterday's draft at 3 ended up being Kamara. And I'm surprised because it was auto pick, and I know they had Kamara ahead of McCaffrey, but yet the auto pick still took McCaffrey for some reason in that draft.
You're talking about Josh.
Yesterday's
Josh's auto
pick, yeah. Unless he had him in his queue.
Right. Well, it would not surprise me that Josh reset his top 100.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me one bit.
Yeah, he probably did because, again, McCaffrey went, and he was 3rd in the queue, and I was wanting to take him, but I ended up taking
Well, Josh is also a little bit of an analytics guy.
Yeah.
He works in the IT field, communications and stuff like that, so numbers are...
Yeah. So for me today at 3, I'm hoping McCaffrey falls to 3 because that's where I'm going to take him, and it is at 3. And if it's not him, it's probably going to be Elliott, honestly. And I'm confident one of those 2 are going to be there.
Well, my whole draft strategy being at 11, when you're at 11 in a 12-team snake draft, essentially you have to pay attention to the pick in front of you at 10, and you have to pay attention to the pick behind you, which is going to be 12, 13. Okay, because it's back-to-back between you. So you have to pay attention to what 10 is going to take so you can project what you're going to get at 11.
Agreed.
Then you have to project what 12 is going to take so that you can get your other pick. And you have to keep watching them as they start to take their players. They start to fill out their roster.
I think what
I can
helps
jump
you-
in front of you, oh, he's got running backs.
Right.
I'm going to get a wide receiver.
2 points. It makes sense if you can is to keep a counter of yourself as to what other people are taking because if a guy in front of you coming back on the turn, let's say already has 2 running backs early in the draft,
Right.
you're safe to look for a running back because he's probably not going to be taken
Right.
in that case. But one of the things I wanted to allude to also in your situation, too, being on the lower end of the draft, if you're not high on Elliott, that's good for you because he's going to be taken. He's going to take up one of the picks that you may have taken. And if you end up with the receivers that you did in yesterday's 10-team draft with those 2 guys on the turn, 11 and 12, 11 and 14, I get 13, whatever it will be,
Right.
I think that's a great start to a draft. And
Shh, don't give it away.
Well, people already know.
Why are you giving it away?
So for me, I think again, if you're anti-Elliott, I think that helps a guy like you at the bottom of the draft because he's a guy that wasn't on your radar, and that's going to take that's going to take a spot.
Well, and listen, I've still got a man crush on Patrick Mahomes. I think that he's actually going to be more efficient this year. His touchdown total may only get into the high 40s. Okay, it may only get into the high 40s, but there's going to be an efficiency there. Okay, instead of him having to throw 5 touchdown passes to win a game, it's going to be 3 because they're going to be able to run the ball because their defense is going to be improved and he's not going to have to throw 5 touchdown passes. So his numbers, instead of 50, make it 46, 45, still going to be 5,000 yards. Still going to be really close to 5,000 yards.
Here's what I'm going to say about Mahomes, and I've been pretty consistent about this through the entire process here.
I've got a man crush on him.
It's kind of like a stock, okay? When IBM was at its highest, that wouldn't be the best time to buy in. Okay, why? Because the price is somewhat inflated. Everybody's kind of on board. Obviously, how much higher can it possibly go type of scenario. So you start looking at those sorts of things to make an assessment.
And still yet it did go higher.
It did. But in terms of the amount at which it went, in terms of how much you had to put into response to how much you would get out, stuff like that, those things got closer together. If you got in on the ground floor, you made $1 billion. If you got in towards the top, you made $1 million. There's a great difference between $1 million and $1 billion. What I'm saying is that a guy like Mahomes now, his price is so inflated that I think that if you look at the point separations from last year on the quarterback positions, which is what we think are important in fantasy, there was a pretty good gap between him and even the second place guy, and certainly as you got down the list. I think 2 things happen in the NFL. I think one, defenses catch up. I think they game plan differently. They're very smart. They're proactive, and they can kind of find where your strengths are and make them maybe not as strong. I think that's sort of a negative mark against Mahomes, if you can have a negative mark against Mahomes. Secondly, again, he was so off the charts last year. What are the chances of that happening again? And to me, that's another situation. I look at, we've thrown around terms like regression, positive, negative. I mean, how many steps forward can anyone take without taking a slight step back? And again, when you look at it from that perspective, I'd rather be in the beginning part of a train that's starting to move than trying to jump on the very end where it's really crowded, you can't get a seat, everybody's on board. To me, that's not the approach to take. I let other people, again, assume what sort of level of production he's going to have. First-round production for a quarterback is going to be hard to do even for Mahomes.
I understand that, but okay, since you brought out a stock analogy, any idea what Google is trading for nowadays?
$1 billion, a lot.
No, trading for.
I have no
share?
idea. I know it's split 1 billion times. I know it's whatever, but okay.
I had a chance to buy Google at $225 after one split, only one split. I had an opportunity to buy Google at $225, and I said, no, it's a sexy pick. Now it's like split like 15 times and it's trading at like $1,500 a share. Okay.
It does happen.
So I'm an idiot, and I can tell you for a fact that if we get to 11 and Patrick Mahomes is available, he will not be available at 12.
Okay.
I can tell you that because while I do see a regression as far as the overall touchdown totals, okay, that's just my conservative estimate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you really want to hear what my heart of hearts says? The fucker's going to throw 60 touchdown passes and 6,000 yards. He's going to jam it up the NFC West or the AFC West's ass, and they're going to win the Super Bowl. Okay? If you want to hear what my pie in the sky prediction is, he's going to fucking kill it. He's going to destroy it. Okay, but reality wise, because every team in the AFC West went out and drafted DBs, more DBs, and more DBs, and more DBs. Okay, they drafted them. They brought him in free agency wise. They went and got more, and they're probably looking for more now because what they're going to do is they're going to put 1 million defensive backs on the field. They're going to go 6 DBs and 5 rushers, and they're just going to make it. They're going to try to knock him off his spot. The problem is with Mahomes is even if you knock him off his spot, he's dangerous. He's dangerous as hell. How many times do we see him running from his life? He's got a linebacker chasing him down from behind, throws, running off his back foot 55 yards to Tyreek Hill.
Talent level is off the charts. I'm not debating that.
He's a different animal.
And maybe he is Google, okay? Maybe he is Google.
He throws left-handed.
But what I'm saying is I don't care about all the hype and all
He's
the
got a
crap
funny
and whatever.
voice to it. I mean, come on.
He may very well get first-round production, total production. But what I'm saying, and I've preached it before, is that just because he reaches a level of first-round production, that doesn't mean that he should have been taken in the first round for quarterbacks.
He scored 600 600 fantasy points.
Well, you're on record with 60 touchdowns. I'm on record by saying
that's my pie in the sky.
All right. Well, my reality is that
my reality is 47, 46.
And he may get there. But again, total production-wise, Matt Ryan may have 42, and you could have gotten him in the 7th or 8th round. So all I'm saying is that you can't look at it as a standalone production when you're in fantasy because you're always trying to find value within the draft. Okay, I don't think you win your draft in the first few rounds. I think you win it in the later rounds. I think you win it based on balance and on depth.
67 touchdowns.
Okay, so again, we'll see. I'm not saying he's not going to be a number one quarterback this year. I'm not saying that at all. Be clear. But what I'm saying is that when all the pieces fall and you shake things out and you look at total value for what his production was up against where he was taken in drafts, I feel pretty strongly that it's going to be very difficult for any quarterback, even Google, to make first-round production for where he's being taken. So I'll let everybody else in every other draft take it.
3.5 touchdown passes per game.
Who's catching the half touchdown?
3.5 average. 3.5.
Just being funny, okay? Because I'd like to catch a half a touchdown or 3/4 of a touchdown.
Well,
that'd be kind of fun.
3 is 48. Okay, so he averaged a little more than 3 as it was, probably like 3.17 or some crap like that. I don't want to get too technical about it.
Right.
But
you're saying, I mean, in that scenario, their production would have to come through him. And in games,
but if
scenarios.
He averages 4, if he gets that average up to 4 touchdowns a game.
If he gets the average.
That's 64 friggin' touchdowns.
If he does something nobody's ever done before, then yeah, you're right. He'll get there. Okay, but again, if he does something nobody's ever done before. I get it that overall offensive production seems to be increasing. It's in all the sports. You see more points being scored in basketball. You see more home runs being hit in baseball.
Yeah.
And this drives the ratings. It drives it. Whatever the factors are, I don't care. Juice balls and inflated balls and whatever and whatever. Who cares?
Balls. Danny V, if you're watching. Danny V, if you're watching, balls.
More points, more scoring, more excitement. I get it. But let's take a step back here. It's still the NFL. You got guys chasing guys and big guys chasing small guys and guys preparing in certain ways they didn't prepare before. The game is evolving. I think he was a little ahead of the curve last year, but I think teams will catch up slightly. I think they'll catch up slightly. And I think you're not going to see the gaudy numbers week after week that you saw for a period of time last year at Mahomes. I just don't think. And let me ask you something else. What about game script? We haven't talked about that. What if the Chiefs get out to leads and they don't need Mahomes in the second half? How is he going to reach those numbers?
The Tua effect, Mahomes doesn't even play in the fourth quarter.
Remember, their defense was hurt last year.
They were going to play all the way.
Well, think about this, but they were in shootouts last year. Okay, shootouts. What if the defense plays a little bit better this year?
Ridiculous.
What if the defense plays better this year and they're not forced to put up as many points as they were last year? Again, there's too many things that are being assumed because he is what he is and he did last year.
Well, that's why I think he's going to, as far as touchdown passes are concerned, touchdowns, he's going to regress a little.
Okay.
Into the mid-40s.
Okay.
I believe that.
And if he does that, that means that the rest of the league regresses towards him. And that creates a value that it lessens that value gap that we talk about.
Screw you, I'm still picking him at 11.
Take him. I think it's a great pick in my league.
Yeah, of course you do, because that means that somebody will slide down to you.
It's a great pick. Yeah, it's an awesome pick.
You're a jerk.
Take him.
I'm not taking him. Yes, I am. No, I'm not.
Anyway,
shut up.
Again, it's just my take on quarterbacks. It's never going to change. It doesn't matter who you are. And I think this is the prime example of a guy who we all feel is going to be all this. So if you're all quarterbacks, please grab him. Take him early. Get him in the first pick. He's going to score the most points.
How's Antonio Brown going to do this year? Look at that Pittsburgh Steeler look of disgust.
I am so anti-Raider. Again, it's so much hype. The Hard Knocks and Gruden and
who's going? All right, who's going to live up to their hype
on that team?
No, who's going to live up to their hype? The Raiders or the Browns?
The Browns clearly have more talent, but they've been so bad for so long, both teams. I don't know. I have to pick. I'm going to say probably the Browns just because of the talent's better, but not by much. I think both teams underachieved this year, honestly. Now, maybe from a fantasy perspective, maybe not. I mean, you're going to have guys that are going to get theirs in Cleveland. But from a win-loss perspective, I think Cleveland's got a chance to be third in the division, honestly. I think Baltimore's better, and I think the Steelers win the whole thing. So, we'll see.
once again, a little heavy-handed with the shirt and the background, and this looks like a Steelers show now.
Not a homer pick, no, by any stretch. Listen, I'm as real as they get. I know last year when the Steelers opened up and tied the Browns in the week 1 and committed 15 penalties in week 1, I was on record by saying that the season was over then. Because I didn't care about the Bell, I didn't care about Brown, I didn't care about the holdouts. You can't spend 6 months of your offseason preparing for a division rival and tie, at that point, the pre-hype Browns and commit that many penalties in week 1. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. There was already a disconnect in place. Those are the things I looked for, and I said it week 1, and I'm a Steeler fan, but I was
that's
able to
a coaching
recognize
issue.
it. Well, it's an in-house issue. It's not just the coaching; it's the players too. So hopefully that's been corrected and changed. Some pieces have moved, and things seem to be a little bit different now. Ben is quit his radio show now on the weekends. Now I think Juju's got the show, so he's kind of taking a step back. Maybe all of a sudden he's going to be a leader of some kind. I don't know.
But did Ben stop going to the strip clubs? That's what I want to know.
I don't think so. We haven't seen him in ours though, but.
Well,
maybe
yeah.
when he retires, yeah.
Boy, wouldn't you just you would be completely useless if he showed up at work.
This is a true story, and
You would volunteer to go stand next to him and be his
I
personal
know we're long
security.
on time right now, but this one quick story. When I was
Screw
in
it,
Pittsburgh,
as long as we get off before 2:30.
many years ago when I was in Pittsburgh, when Ben first started his career, I was in a memorabilia shop with my buddies and just looking around at stuff. And some girl came up to me and grabbed my shirt and hugged me and called me Ben. Thought I was Ben Roethlisberger. And of course, I bought into it for about 10 minutes. And then her boyfriend showed up, and I was no longer Ben Roethlisberger. So, but yeah, true story.
Well, at least you didn't grab her boobs.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
If you
distasteful
were
by
really
any
Ben
stretch.
Roethlisberger, you would have left with her. if
She
you were
wanted
really
my
Ben.
autograph and everything, and I got to the point where I was looking for a pen, and then the boyfriend showed up, and I was like, I'm out. So, yeah, Ben's out of here.
Wow.
So,
All right. Well, I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to get into? DFS is going to be very interesting this week.
I'm going to be prepared next week for a
and
lot of
we'll-
DFS.
Right. And that's where next week at 11 o'clock, it's going to be very, very important for you to have your ass here on the Gonzo Radio Network ready to start taking notes, because at 12 o'clock, we're running a little long here because we were jibber-jabbering. At 12 o'clock, we're
It's on,
off.
yeah.
We're done. We're at 11:35. We're going to start spitting the latest injury info, because that's when the injury report comes out. And pretty much from 11:30 till we get off the air, we're going to monitor the injury report in case any late injury reports come across. And then we're out. We're going to be giving you fantasy spotlight picks of that
Yeah,
day.
Startup Situm, too, as well.
Yeah, start and
perhaps.
sit 'em.
Yeah.
DFS. It's big DFS.
Yeah, open your accounts now, people. We're
Preferably DraftKings,
because that's what we're going to be
'cause that's what
focusing
we're
on.
gonna be focusing on.
Yeah, so open your DraftKings accounts.
Still trying to find a way to get the DraftKings account page on here without giving out the information.
Yeah, but get those accounts open. Even start with just $10. Have some fun with it. Listen, we're not looking to make $1 million this year, but we are looking to put out good information to help you make money, to keep you entertained, and to build some sort of a following here, so we can get this thing going in the right direction. Have faith, guys. The system is going to work.
It sure will. I want to thank Debbie and Iris, and I know since Iris is watching, Danny is also sitting there watching. Balls. Frank, let's see who else has been in it. Oh, and of course, Michael J., my boy. Michael J., by the way, the Palm Beach Ale House will be opening soon. And once that opens up, you will be seeing us
Yes,
live
at the L House.
on at least one of the game days. Hopefully their opening game day, but that's not going to happen this week due to contractual issues. But that's fine. We'll iron those contractual issues out. And we'll be doing a live remote from there as well. But fortunately, we'll be doing our very first week, at least our very first week, right here in the comfort of the Gonzo Radio Network studios. So make sure you have your ass here once again, 11 a.m. next week on Sunday. We are going to be here. We are going to be kicking it. I'm making Maz come in early. We're going to be writing shit down.
Oh, we'll be ready.
Yeah, we'll be ready. So next week, it's crunch time. For those of you with players going on Thursday night with the Packers and the Bears, the 455th meeting of the Packers and the Bears. I think they played back during the Civil War too. So good luck. I know I'm going to need it because I have that Rogers Parker or that
Aaron Jones and Adams.
The
The Adams
Rodgers and
Rogers
Adams.
combo. Yeah.
It's been a long show.
Yeah.
So I got that stack, and my fingers are crossed against that monster defense. So on behalf of myself and the Maz, say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye, nice people.
We will see you guys next week, 11 a.m.
Be
sharp.
ready. Be ready.
Don't fuck around. Be here. And yes, as always, I'm NSFW. As always, don't show the kids this show. Why would you show the kids this show anyway? See you next week.